Goody.
Alright, what's up everybody? It is Zombies here again, and today we're doing a different kind of video here. So this one's going to be pretty short and sweet, but today we're going to be talking about the most important things the game never really specifically tells you about speed ties in Mercenaries. This was something I was thinking about when I think I was talking to someone in another Mercenary streamer's chat or comment on YouTube or something, and they were talking about speed tie, and it made me kind of realize that the game doesn't really do the best job of explaining a few things about speed ties. So I just wanted to do a quick little video here to explain the stuff that the game doesn't directly explain, so that way if you don't know about it, you know about it for the future, because this stuff is very, very relevant when it comes to the PvP aspects of the game, and honestly PvE too, to a bit of a lesser extent. But yeah, so what does the game not tell you about speed ties? So the first thing it doesn't tell you, this one I'm sure most people, if you've been playing for a little bit, probably just figured out on your own, but if you have two abilities that have the same speed, whichever ability you select first will always be the one that goes first on your side. So I know that one is probably not as much of a crazy revelation, because that one, even though the game doesn't specifically tell you it works that way, that's one that can kind of be figured out through gameplay. So I think that one, at least, people can kind of figure it out a little bit over time. However, I do think one thing they should change for this is when you do select two units with the same ability, speed-wise, you know how it shows the little order your characters are going in, and when you select two with the same ability, it shows both those characters as going first with a question mark behind it. And I think that's unnecessarily confusing. I think it would be a lot more straightforward if you just showed the order it was actually going to go off in. But yeah, that one is more straightforward. Even though the game doesn't specifically tell you it, you can kind of figure it out through gameplay. And that's something we've seen in other modes of Hearthstone before, like Constructed. Sometimes a card won't specifically explain itself fully until you kind of play with it, but I do think it would be a big improvement to just kind of tell people that, and do that minor little UI change to get rid of the question mark firsts, because I think it's just unnecessarily confusing. But the bigger aspect that not as many people know about, I think, and we'll get our little graphic up here. So this was posted a little bit under a month ago by Kaizor, the lead dev, aka Paul, for Mercenaries. And so this was talking about speed ties, because at the time of him posting this, there was a lot of confusion about how speed ties worked, and I think there were also some bugs early on that was making it so speed ties weren't working exactly how they were supposed to work, at least according to the devs. So yeah, this basically, he kind of gave us a definitive version of, hey, this is how speed ties actually work, and I'm really happy he did this, because I did not think it worked this way, at least when I started playing the game, until I had someone explain it to me. So that's kind of the purpose of this video, because this part is really, really relevant for high-end PvP, and it feels like it's even more relevant than ever right now, because with Valera boosting herself and other units' speed, we are resulting in a lot more games where there are a bunch of zero speed abilities and more speed ties. So I think this will be very useful information if you are not already aware of it. Basically, the TLDR of how speed ties work in Mercenaries is if you are queuing more of the same speed ability than your opponent is, you will have a greater chance to win the coin flip with that speed tie. And he gave us a pretty good example here. So basically, in this situation, let's say player 1, we'll say I'm player 1, and I have two abilities at speed 10, call them A and B, and I have queued the abilities so that A is always going first. I selected my ability on A, and then I selected my ability on B. So A is always going to go first on my side. Then my opponent, player 2, has an ability also at 10 speed, but they only have one of them. So there are three possible outcomes that could happen if those three abilities are queued all at the same time. So the first possibility is my first character goes first, my second character goes second, and the opponent's character goes last. The second possibility is my first character goes first, their character goes second, and my second character goes last. And then lastly, the third possibility is that their character goes first, my first character goes, and then my next one goes. So the important thing to note about this is you can influence your chance of winning a speed tie by stacking abilities. And that has definitely won me more than a handful of games, especially in the kind of current meta we're seeing start to establish itself in the game. There are a lot of moments where giving yourself that extra chance to win a coin flip can be really, really powerful. And I think that's one of the reasons we're seeing some supposed Valeera counters like Varian and some other units start seeing more play, because they have 2 speed abilities. And if you're comboing Valeera with Grommash, if you have that extra 2 speed ability on turn 1 and your opponent does not, instead of it being a 50-50 of whoever wins the coin flip, it's 66% to 33% that you're going to get that first unit to move. And a lot of the time, if you do it correctly, you'll just have Grom be your first unit, so that way if he does go first and win that speed tie, especially if you make yourself favored in it, then you can slow their Grom and totally mess up their turn if it's a mirror. And these are just really important things to know with the way the meta is kind of shaping up, from what I've seen. And from what I've seen from the comments and discussion about it, I think there are a lot of people who don't know this, because the game never tells you this. There's nowhere that I am aware of in the game that they specifically tell you, hey, this is how speed ties work. So I'm really happy Paul kind of outlined it for us, because I'm sure we could have figured this out, but it would have taken a lot of testing and probably would have been a bit of a pain. So I'm really grateful for him and his communication. He's been really, really great with talking with the community, and I think that's a really good thing for the mode. But yeah, that is the main content we wanted to cover here. Those are the 2 important things about speed ties that the game does not directly tell you. I would like if maybe in the future there is some way we could have that added to a tutorial, or some type of PvE content, maybe a harder boss where it outlines it to you, or just something, because I think that the player base who is more kind of hardcore, or maybe hardcore is the wrong word, maybe just more invested into the game, is probably going to know this, because they're going to be watching YouTube and streamers and all that kind of stuff. But I think this is information that if you're just kind of a casual player, I don't know how you ever get this information. And it's, especially with the second one, it's really important information to know if you want to improve your play, in my opinion. Because knowing when to stack same speed abilities to give yourself a better chance of winning a speed tie can be the difference between winning and losing a game, especially now with the prominence of Valeera and characters' abilities going to 0 speed. So yeah, that's what I wanted to cover here. Hopefully you got something useful out of this. If you did, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.